Hey y'all, it's Rosie here, and I know I said I want to start doing some videos about Japan or like news in Japan or just stuff about Japan in general to like get us in the mood since we're all moving, right? And of course everyone's interested in Japan. So the first video that I did on Japan was on this YouTuber named Fidus, wreaking a bit of havoc around Japan. I thought about doing like a full in-depth video on Jonny Somali, but honestly, I'm more interested in waiting until I see what sort of sentence he receives before I actually do a full video on him. So what I thought I would do instead is do a reaction to Chris Broad from Abroad in Japan's video called "These Foreigners Are Ruining Japan." I really think, well, first of all, I just think Chris's videos are fantastic. I really enjoy watching them. And he did a video recently on Fidus, Jonny Somali, and another YouTuber. I don't know why I want to keep calling him Steve, but I could be wrong. So anyway, it's a pretty short video, so why don't we just get into it?
Riding a bullet train without paying, breaking into an active construction site, begging locals for money, stealing food from a Kyoto hotel, or breaking into a truck. What do you want to do when you come to Japan?
So I know I already talked about Fidus and his various shenanigans, from riding the train without paying, begging people for money, stealing food from a fancy hotel buffet. So it's nice that he touched on it right here in the opener. I do get the sense that this sort of like kind of immature content for the views is maybe encouraging other like young YouTubers or just other people in general to come and act a fool in Japan and cause a lot of disturbances and think that they're just going to get away from it with no consequences.
There seems to be a worrying trend now where foreign influencers are treating Japan like it's a cross between Disneyland and The Purge, a theme park where rules don't matter and you can pretty much get away with anything. In a world where all that matters now is click-through rates on YouTube videos or audience retention on a Kik stream, desperate creators are going to desperate lengths to get the attention they sorely crave. And unfortunately, it seems what better place to exploit people's kind-hearted nature and goodwill for content than here in Japan. Nuisance foreign influence.
So before he gets into this nuisance YouTubers all over Japan, I just wanted to say that it's not necessarily YouTubers, I feel like, in general, because like we saw with Fidus, like he was violating the community guidelines of YouTube. So his video came down, whether he took it down or YouTube took it down, I don't care which one, it came down. The deal with these like Kik streamers and whatever is that Kik just wants people to stay on their platform. So they don't really care what any of their streamers are doing. And I think that in itself is encouraging people to just do wilder and crazier and more disruptive things because there's no sort of guideline. There's no rules for them to follow. So they're just getting out here and acting, well, a fool.
Influencers have been in the public news quite a bit in Japan over the last few months. And with the release of a video just yesterday by YouTuber Fidus getting thrown off a Shinkansen for not paying, amongst other things, the topic looks set to make a very unwelcome comeback this week. So in this video, we'll take a look at who these dickheads are and what's been going on, as well as exploring how this has been playing out in Japan amongst both the public and the Japanese government, because it certainly hasn't gone unnoticed. And look, this isn't just a foreigner YouTube problem. Japan has its own fair share of domestic nuisance YouTubers, and it's taken some pretty bizarre measures to counter them as well, as we'll see. But both as a foreigner living in Japan and as a YouTuber, naturally, I feel like this is something I need to talk about. Do I want to talk about it? No, I don't. As you know, I like talking about happy things. In fact, to produce this video, I had to completely scrap the fun pre-planned content that I had in store.
Mr. Affable himself. No, like Chris is hella negative and like always has an attitude, I feel like, in most of his videos, but he's very respectful in public. I've watched a ton of his videos on Japan over the years, and he's not causing disruptions. He's not bothering the general public when he goes and does things. Like, he's just making his content for his videos and not bothering anyone. And I feel like, I guess because there's such a large scale production at this point, they probably have to get permission to film in all of these locations ahead of time anyway. So Chris, in my opinion, so Abroad in Japan, is a great example of YouTube done right. And then other YouTubers that he associates with, like other content creators, like the Anime Man or CDog VA, so like Connor Dog or whatever, he's a streamer. He's like a Twitch streamer. And I don't feel like he goes out and causes disruptions everywhere he goes. I feel like he's making his content, making his money, making his followers happy, making himself happy, and he's not disrupting the general public and just causing absolute chaos all over Japan.
But my policy on YouTubers and streamers doing shitty things has always been to ignore them, for fear of bringing them any more attention or notoriety. And I only do so today because in the case of the first bellend that we'll talk about, Jonny Somali, a Kik streamer, he's already...
I feel like not talking about them is maybe not the right idea, because I feel like bringing attention to what they're doing and putting it like in a negative light, like letting people know this isn't okay, especially from someone that has like 3 million subscribers like Chris does, would be a good thing. So I don't necessarily think you're platforming them so much as you are condemning their actions in Japan and being like, hey, this isn't okay. Whether they are having millions of views or whatever, like Fidias or Jonny Somali, I think saying, hey, this isn't all right, is a good first step.
He reached a high level of notoriety after his recent arrest. And his story is important as it gives context to why people are so fed up that this has happened again. And by talking about the second person, who is a YouTuber, hopefully YouTube will take more aggressive action against creators that make shitty content like this. Also, if you're having a good day where you've got some sort of faith in humanity, you might want to stop watching right now. As I've discovered, learning about these fucking idiots really doesn't do you any favours. Back in September, Kik streamer Jonny Somali was arrested after repeatedly causing mayhem around the country. Whether it was standing on a train with a loudspeaker harassing train passengers, wandering onto a construction site and being thrown off by mortified workers, or of course breaking into a truck.
I do have to say, honestly, I was so frustrated watching some of the clips of the Jonny Somali stuff, like where he was just telling people that the US was gonna like drop an atomic bomb on them, or he was just like yelling Hiroshima and Nagasaki on the train and in public, and like playing atomic bomb noises in cafes, and just the absolute fuckboy shit that he was up to is just, I mean, it's unparalleled. And I honestly can't believe that he got away with it for as long as he did. Now, I do know, now that I know he's been detained, the way that like Japanese, I guess, legal system kind of operates is they can detain you for 28 days on one charge, but they don't have to let you go to charge you with something else and continue to rack up those 28 days all the way up until your hearing. And so from what I can tell, he has done enough, and they have enough on him from just his own personal videos that they're going to just continually hitting him with those 20-some day holds all the way up until his trial. Dude's never getting out.
For lunch. For 6 months, frustratingly, he pretty much got away with it all. Had Jonny Somali been in the UK, he would have discovered the definition of human punch bag very fucking fast.
I feel like Japan was honestly just letting him continue to rack up like charges against him just so they could really throw the book at him. Because I think he's facing like a 3-year like hard labor sentence or something. Seems like they could do more, right? That's probably not enough.
But unfortunately in Japan, people go about their lives keen to avoid conflict or disputes, especially given how rare it all is. And when people see outlandish, disrespectful behaviour, they're far less likely to confront it than they would in North America or Europe. And with the authorities seemingly inactive or oblivious to this toxic behaviour for the longest time, it got to the point where vigilante stream snipers were actively seeking him out, leading him to get knocked out by a foreign tourist in what might be his second greatest stream. And during this time I purposely avoided the topic because
Oh, the streams where he got punched were the best streams. You wanted people to just continually pummel him, not just hit him one time.
I just didn't want to bring attention to someone like this, you know. There's no such thing, they say, as bad publicity. Fortunately, turns out there is. Eventually, Japanese media caught on to Jonny Somali, and in what was undeniably his greatest stream. He captured his own demise in real time as the police arrested him and tossed him into a cell where he's been for almost 2 months now. If formally charged with trespassing, he could spend up to 3 years in jail, but that's pretty unlikely.
I saw like clips from that stream and he's like yelling at his moderators to call the embassy. Dude, now that they finally caught on to you and they have enough evidence to really do something about you, what do you think the embassy is gonna do? Nothing.
And we can only hope he does get to stream his inevitable deportation sometime in the near future. But the damage had already been done, with one of Japan's most powerful politicians speaking out publicly about nuisance streamers, casting a bit of a shadow over regular streamers and YouTubers operating in Japan. And that takes us to now. This week in the relay race of dickhead influencers in Japan, the baton of twattery went from Jonny Somali to Cypriot YouTuber Fidus when he released a video called I Travelled Across Japan for Free. A more accurate title would have been I Travelled Across Japan Without Fucking Paying, as Fidus rode across the country on a Shinkansen without buying a ticket and then camping out in a public toilet while battling an unamused train conductor who later threw him off the train, as well as harassing locals for money along the way to...
I said this in my video, but it's just so lame to just hide in the toilet for an entire Shinkansen ride. Oh my god.
Pay for his bus fare. Although clearly it wasn't enough because he didn't pay the bus fare, and so the bus company took him to the police station to charge him. And if that wasn't enough, as an extra bonus, he also walked into a Kyoto hotel, pretended he was staying to the staff, and stole food from the breakfast buffet. What a man of class. A waste of time for everyone involved, all in the name of the world's shittest YouTube video. I don't know about you, but I don't actually want Fidus to get arrested for this. I want him to be free, so he can get to work on his sequel as soon as possible. I travelled Pyongyang for free. Boy, would I pay good money to see that.
That is the video I would like to watch.
Right off the bat, Fidus doesn't have the best reputation.
Going nowhere
in fact,
fast.
if desperation had a physical manifestation, it would be him. After all, the guy once camped outside of Twitter's headquarters for 60 days just to get a hug with Elon Musk himself. In a scene so hideously awkward, you'll want to go back in time and kill the internet from ever happening. Perhaps this shouldn't be a complete surprise, given...
Why would you do that? That is weird.
And this is the same guy who faced a backlash last year for his questionable thumbnail choices. But in a matter of hours, the video had been picked up by netizens online and shared across Japan. In response to the outrage, Fidus did what any good YouTuber would do. He wrote a shit apology. Hello, beautiful people. I apologise to the Japanese people if we made them feel bad. That was not our goal. From now on, I am going to make more research to the cultures we go to and try to prevent this from happening again.
This is so half-assed and just embarrassing. He has millions of subscribers. You don't think he has someone on his team that could have written this more eloquently? Or maybe just like checked some of the extra spaces or like did something with his grammar and punctuation? No?
I love you all. 5 likes from 5 fucking idiots. I'm gonna make more research to the cultures. You know what? Maybe I'll swing by Malaysia. Maybe I'll steal a truck because maybe that's okay there. Maybe theft is okay. I don't know. I haven't researched the culture. Or maybe I'll swing by Vietnam and...
I'm pretty sure whether or not you research the culture has nothing to do with whether petty crime is petty crime.
Hijack a bus. I don't know. I haven't researched the culture. Maybe the concept of crime is absent in Asian countries. But clearly Fidus didn't research the culture of India because he did the exact same fucking thing there, riding a train without paying. But what lies in store for Fidus? Well, if history tells us anything, it's that he should soon begin his narrative arc to becoming an amateur boxer. And who knows what kind of exciting content that we can expect next. Perhaps I piggybacked across Japan on 100 unwilling strangers. Or perhaps I tried robbing a Japanese 7-Eleven in a day. But there's a tipping point in Japan when something is featured on TV. That's when the outrage is sort of crystallised. And it's impressive how well everyone's forgotten Logan Paul's saga when he came to Japan for the ultimate dickhead speedrun, causing chaos on the streets, smashing games.
I have not forgotten about it. Oh my god. And honestly, stuff like that is just embarrassing as another American, because you're like, do people then look at you and think you're going to do the same thing?
Boys and mocking the dead, with the whole episode making national news in Japan, to the point that I ended up on Japan's biggest morning news show in the bizarre position of having to defend all foreign YouTubers ever in the world, which was basically me just sitting on a chair, looking bewildered, going, I'm very angry indeed. It's a good thing I didn't say, but don't worry, it won't happen again.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't make yourself out to be a liar.
Especially with a clip of even more streamers in Japan doing the rounds dressed as Mario, harassing women in the street.
What the fuck, Mario?
Now there is some good news.
I don't know why people even think that's funny. Like, the average viewer has to be like 10, 11. Like, an 11-year-old boy, maybe, would find that funny. I know my brother, who's 13, does not find that kind of stuff funny. Just harassing people in public, asking them to fuck you as Mario, not entertaining in the slightest.
Just as I was finishing up this video, I did see that the offending video had disappeared, meaning either YouTube took action or he took it down himself. But the damage has already been done. It's already been shared across social media in Japan. People are already kind of pissed off. Japanese rail companies are investigating what happened. And just today,
I do hope that something happens to him because of this, because it's ridiculous and it's encouraging other people to do it. Because as much as you can say, oh, people wouldn't go do that. Yes, they would. Yes, they would. They would see that he got millions of views. He has millions of subscribers from doing stupid shit. And they're going to be like, I'm going to go do that too.
a friend shared with me a photo of his local bar that's just put up a sign banning people from filming, streaming, doing anything inside there. And who can really...
See, I think that's kind of sad, right? Like, now you're not going to be able to make videos or live stream your content where you're not bothering anyone. Like, maybe you're sitting at the table politely eating your food and you just want to record it and talk about it and talk about your day or what have you. Not that I would do that, but maybe I want to do that. I know a decent amount about Japanese food, enough to know that I love it. And maybe I want to go video myself eating, you know, the 3 bites of ramen I'd be able to eat or what have you. And now you're going to be looked at as, okay, is this person going to cause a problem the moment they see your camera come out? You know? So I just feel bad. I especially feel bad for like a lot of there's a lot of like your travel type YouTubers who go and like video their whole day, like through a whole process. Maybe I'll try that out, but they're videoing like food, trains, restaurants, hotels, walking the streets, stuff like that. And I think they're going to start having a hard time because I think businesses and then people in general are really going to crack down on this type of behavior and just like non-discriminately. So like whether you're causing a disruption or not, you're going to face consequences for these people's actions.
Blame them. Probably a look of things to come. You know, looking at the bigger picture, it's unfortunate. In 10 years living here, 300 videos on the road, I've very rarely faced any difficulties filming in public. The key is to be respectful, don't be noisy, be mindful of the people around you. And much of my success is down to the fact Japan is so tolerant and so generous when it comes to people filming out and about in public. There's nowhere better to do it. And I worry if this keeps happening, then the day will arrive where every time I pull out a camera to film, or a foreign tourist is filming something, just making a video, you know, folks will rush over to sort of say, oh, stop filming, don't film here, please, damn it, don't film, because they're so concerned that something bad is going to happen. And it's just...
See, that's what I'm worried about. So lame. People have to ruin a good thing.
Sad turn of events to be confronting, especially as it's the 1-year anniversary of Japan reopening. You know, tourist numbers are almost back to where they were since 2019. It'd be a terrible shame if that is overshadowed by foreign influencers running amok, being disrespectful, and taking advantage of Japan and its people. And I think the only flip side I can find is by raising awareness of that. I kind of want to encourage you guys, if you're ever out there watching something on YouTube or Twitch or Kik, where douchebag influencers are traveling around Japan doing these sort of things, hold them to account, report them, do what you can. That's the only way they can be stopped when they're deprived of the platforms that they use to output the shitty...
The problem is they're not going to be deprived because like Kik likes this sort of thing because it brings more people to their platform. And honestly, YouTube can say what they want, but a lot of us know YouTube wants people to stay on YouTube. And if that means letting stuff like this slide or letting when people do things like this get on the trending page and stuff like that, you know they're looking because they bring down smaller content creators for much less, right? So, I mean, it would be nice if YouTube would do something about it, or Kik would do something about it, or Twitch would do something about it. But I am not that naive. So viewers themselves are going to have to just like not watch his content, which again is a big ask when the majority of a lot of these people who do things like this, the people watching their content are like 11-year-old boys, and they're not going to stop just because some other YouTuber says, hey, don't watch this guy's videos because he's committing crimes. That's why things like World Star are still a thing. You like to watch that kind of stuff from afar, and you're like, oh, what an idiot. That's why they still have platforms.
Awful content. Now, as I said, Japan isn't without its own domestic YouTuber problems. In fact, the country has a word for nuisance YouTubers, meiwakuke. During the pandemic, a YouTuber called Hezumaru was detained for 2 days after a string of questionable activities, including stealing sashimi from a supermarket and laying down a mattress in the middle of Shibuya Crossing. That was never going to end well, let's face it. Then this year, somewhat bizarrely, in the run-up to hosting the G7 summit, the Japan Self-Defense Force ran a series of exercises in anticipation of an attack. In this case, in the event that a YouTuber should try to break into a base belonging to the Japan Self-Defense Force, which they react.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Now I want to see in real time Fidus or Jonny Somali try to break onto a base just so I can watch them put all their hard work into practice.
To by swarming the individual and searching their car. And let's face it, it's the one Logan Paul video that we all want to see. That would be one hell of an episode.
Exactly.
As for
I would
Fidus,
watch
let's
that.
hope his next video is out soon. Staying in Japan for free, with free meals. Fingers fucking crossed.
That would be pretty good. Okay, honestly, this definitely touched on a lot of what I wanted to touch on when it comes to foreigners causing a lot of issues in Japan. It is, you know, kind of, I guess it's okay or interesting enough that there's like domestic YouTubers in Japan that cause just as much problems. So it's not just foreigners, but I am a little disappointed in their behavior and from what I think are going to be some of the like generalized consequences for anyone who wants to film videos in Japan, like moving forward. So I guess we'll just have to see and stay on top of that. And if I notice anything or see anything, I will let you guys know. But other than that, I will see you on the next one. Bye.